Hey everybody, I wanted to come back on really quick because I am getting a good amount of flack from some commenters on my You're a Bad Shot video, and I will back everything I said in that video. So if you disagree, that's fine, that's your prerogative. However, I have spent a lot of time around professional target archers. So just talking with them and also fixing my own mistakes, I have learned a few things. So everything I said is correct. I guess the biggest thing I will say is I could clarify, and that's what I'm here to do. I want to clarify the way you draw a bow back. So the biggest thing, everybody's like, well, you need to not be raising your bow up when you're shooting, when you're deer hunting. And that is correct. So the biggest thing when it comes to drawing your bow, and I didn't clarify in that video, so that is the reason I want to kind of touch on it. When you're drawing your bow, and I did say this in the video, I was exaggerating a little bit just to show the movement so you guys could see it. It's hard to really explain everything without you physically feeling it and going through it. But that being said, that was a target archer draw. It was 100% correct. And in target archery, you lift your bow. And I think a lot of people need to remember that there's not just bow hunters out there. There are other types of archers. And so when it comes to target archery, it doesn't matter how much movement you necessarily do because you're not worried about scaring a deer away. So that's one thing I need you guys to remember. That being said, I do cater obviously towards hunting tactics, hunting videos. So this is what I want to clarify. When you are first learning how to properly draw your bow, I encourage you to do the target archer draw because it allows you to elevate both shoulders and basically disengage them so that you are able to have the most fluid motion. When your shoulders are down and you're trying to draw towards you and force that bow, you're literally like, when you pull on something this way, this is your range of motion right here, right? You're not even really using your shoulder. So then when you're trying to use your shoulder, it's real awkward and hard, and then it just becomes uncomfortable for good reason because it's bad for your shoulder. You're going to tear something. And I want to avoid that for you. And I used to draw like that. I literally used to draw the same way, and I'd bring it up, and I think the majority of us never learned any different, and that's just what we sometimes maybe see other people doing, but I promise it's not good. So when you elevate your shoulders, you're giving yourself way more motion. They're meant to work up here, right? They're not meant to be down here. This is very limited. So that's the first thing. When you're drawing back, you obviously can move a lot better if you're doing one nice motion versus like real tight and constricted. So that's the first thing. Second thing, I think a lot of you think that when people draw like this, that means their poundage is too heavy, and that may be the case. A lot of us maybe getting into hunting or who have hunted a little bit, that we think we need to shoot the heaviest draw weight we possibly can, right? More weight means more power. And that may be the case in certain situations, but it's not always the case. And I can say that because I started hunting with 40-pound draw, and I got pass-throughs on every single deer I've ever shot with that. So, and that was just, I didn't know any different. I didn't even think twice about it at that time. So, that being said, my weight is significantly heavier, but that's not because I think I need to get, the heaviest thing to shoot through a deer. It's more, okay, well, now I'm calculating speed and, whitetails duck. So there's just a whole other dynamic. That can be a whole other topic to talk about. But moral of what I'm trying to say is just because you're drawing like this doesn't always mean that your weight is too heavy. It just means this is awkward. It doesn't matter how much you're pulling, this is an awkward motion. So I would encourage you to not start out at your max, because you're not going to have those muscles built up and that muscle memory where, you know, down the line when you're shooting a long time, then you can, you know, build those muscles, and then you can obviously increase your weight comfortably. Comfortably being the key word. So let's just say I'll use my specs. I pull 48 pounds, roughly 47, 48 when I hunt. That's not my max. I could pull at least 50, potentially more. I haven't tried it. I haven't tried it in a while, so I don't actually know, but I know I can pull at least 50 pounds. I purposely go a little bit lighter when I'm hunting because one, you know, I have a little bit of target panic, and two, I get buck fever sometimes. So those two together just causes me to be super weak when a deer's coming in, and I'm focused on getting the camera ready and all these other things that, like, if I think about it too much, then I literally can't pull my bow back regardless if it's 40 pounds. Like, I just can't. I don't know. So I do that on purpose, but, you know, I for sure could pull more. But what I'm getting at with that is if you do the proper motion, you should be able to pull the same weight that you're struggling with down here. So for me, 48 pounds is really hard to pull this way. It truly is. And I think I may have even showed you that when I drew back. It hurt my shoulder. So the second I elevate my arm, it's comfortable and I could pull more, honestly. So I kind of think that's maybe a misconception, is people are like, oh yeah, you're just pulling too much weight. No, your form is just wrong. So if you fix that, you could even up your weight potentially. So that's the second thing. And the last thing that I want to touch on is, you might say, okay, well, yeah, that's great if you have all this motion, but what if you needed to be able to just pull your bow straight back? And I will say that is correct. In a hunting situation, especially, because you don't want all that movement, you want to be able to have your bow and draw it back. However, that does not change how your shoulder needs to be elevated and disengaged. That should be happening regardless if you do this motion or if you do this motion. It's literally the same thing. I think the biggest reason why I showed you to elevate both shoulders is because I think in my head when I was filming the video, I was trying to cater to new archers, not somebody who's been shooting forever and may have those muscles. A new archer is gonna feel maybe a little bit awkward doing this because it's not what they're used to, right? They don't have that muscle memory built. So somebody who is new to archery, I encourage you to do the push and pull method, because that will be one nice fluid motion, right? Versus, you know, if you're just trying to use one arm. So really there's not much difference. I would say the biggest thing is when you're hunting, you know, obviously, okay, let's just say I'm in a tree stand and I'm shooting a deer. I have my bow out ready to go. I'm still gonna have my shooting arm elevated, right? So instead of doing this, we're doing this. It's the same thing. It's just not up as high, right? But the motion is the same. My shoulder is elevated the same, and I don't need to move my bow arm. So with that, I would encourage anyone who's newer to shooting this way, or just new to archery in general, I would encourage you to start off kind of how I showed in my other video, and I'll link it right here. So go watch that after this so you know what I'm talking about. But I would encourage you to start that way until you build those muscles. And then hopefully come time to hunt, you're able to start just having one fluid motion without having to move your bow arm. So it's kind of a stepping stone process, I guess you could say. It's not going to happen overnight. You need to practice, and you can't just pick your bow up a few times a year and expect to build those muscles and be a good shot. I'm sorry, just unless you're some prodigy child, which even then, usually they're shooting a lot of arrows every day. You know, you're not gonna be able to do it. So it has to be like a discipline thing where you have to practice. So I hope those 3 little points I made just really clear the air and, you know, give you guys kind of a better sense of what I was trying to say. I didn't quite clarify it the best in that video, but I will stand behind everything that I physically did. Those are all still correct. I've talked to a lot of pro shooters, and you know, a lot of them are bow hunters too, so they're gonna tell you it's still the same fundamental steps. Once you master the fundamentals, then, you know, it's gonna be super easy. You won't even think about it. And I literally self-film and bow hunt, guys, and I shoot that way. So telling me that, oh, I'm doing too much motion, I'm not. I promise I'm not. I've never scared a deer by drawing back. So I usually have other things go wrong. But sorry if I sound a little congested. My allergies are getting me, but I really needed to clarify all that because I want you guys to do it correctly, and I want you guys to know that it's just better. Just do it. So thank you. Love you guys, and I got lots of videos coming. See you soon.